Welcome back to the greatest football debate show on YouTube and every social platform that you will see this feature on. You're watching Football Daily and you're also watching Team Talk, and I've got four fantastic guests sitting in front of me. In the left corner, wearing red, he's representing Manchester United.
Yes.
What does it say on the back?
It says McCubs with the Z on the back. I'm not going to put it on camera.
Oh, okay. So did you do that yourself?
It wasn't my choice, no.
It wasn't
my choice. It was a
Okay.
lovely present from a very good friend of mine. I was surprised that I'm a 30-year-old man. Shouldn't really have a silly nickname on the back, but we roll with the punches. It's a lovely shirt, so had to wear it. Had to wear it.
Well, let us know what you guys think of getting your name on the back of your football shirt once you're older than 7.
Yeah,
Dougie, Critchley, which fan base have you annoyed this week?
Celtic. Yeah. They are quite aggressive as well. No, it was actually fine. I just said the Rangers manager was quite good and they didn't like it.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Rational as always. Joe Tomlinson sitting pretty in green. We've got different colours all over the place today.
Thanks, mate.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, good, man. I'm good. Looking forward to this.
You don't sound it, mate.
I'll try my best to stay composed, so let's just ignore the illness.
Yeah.
Over to Henry Hill, who is here in all of his might. How's that? Need a bit of a haircut, maybe?
Yeah, mate.
Whoa.
I completely agree. I've had a long weekend and I didn't sort myself out.
looking
But
good.
yeah.
You have just moved to North London, haven't you?
Looking
So
good.
Yes.
North
To an
London.
undisclosed
Where
location.
exactly?
To an undisclosed.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, to the Arsenal fans who continuously tell me I'm rude to them, I've moved to Highbury.
your new neighbour.
Got
You might
undercover.
see Henry Hill very soon. And on a Team Talk first,
This is a Team Talk, big moment. This.
Henry Hill has a little surprise.
Yes, I absolutely do. Before we get into the name calling and the mean spiritness of this show, Dougie, you're getting married soon, and we have another little gift for you.
No.
To
Oh,
commemorate
right,
this
Mike.
moment.
So Dougie
Oh
Critchley
my
is getting married
goodness.
soon. We went on a stag do with him.
Guys, thank you so much.
What
we've
is
got?
that,
It's
Henry?
A signed ball by which team?
That is Sunderland. The
Obviously.
Sunderland first team have signed.
the current team.
Yeah.
This is the current first team.
Sunderland sent this to
Guys.
us for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's really touching.
Sunderland
They all
Sunderland sent it
wish
to
you a
Henry.
happy wedding.
Thank you.
Yes, big shout out to Sunderland. Thank you so much for sorting that out. For the happiest
I
Mac
can't
'em around.
believe that. I'm tearing up. That was beautiful. Hamir, youngster, coming good though. Coming good. Trying to recognise a few names. I'll look at this throughout the show, but thank you guys. Very
All
touching.
Okay, there we go. Again,
Dougie, remember this. Remember what
I will do. I will do.
there we go. Okay, that is the surprise. Thank you so much to Sunderland for
presenting.
doing that. Also, point to Dukes.
What?
What?
Wow.
It's a joke.
Henry.
It's a joke.
Accepting a
It's a
gig.
joke. It's a
Henry
joke.
organised
It's a
it.
joke.
That's okay.
It's a joke.
Don't want
it's a joke. Okay. All right. Let's crack on with Team Talk. Our first one, guys. 1 to 4. You're gonna have to rank these 4 wingers on ability, not success.
Okay.
Okay, I like that.
Salah, Mane, Bale, and recent retiree Eden Hazard. So on ability, guys, this is the key thing. I don't really want to be hearing about any of their trophies. On their ability, on any given day, if they are on the form of their life, who are you picking? 1 to 4: Hazard, Mane, Salah, Bale.
I think 1 and 4 is very easy. 2 and 3 is harder.
Agreed.
3, 2, 1, reveal. Salah,
Salah
Bale,
top.
Salah top. So you guys are quite similar. Mane bottom for everybody. Hazard at the top for Dougie. Who wants to take the floor first, lads?
I cannot believe no one else has gone for Bale top. I thought that was set in stone.
No,
Wow,
not
really?
for me.
Who's your second?
Salah's second for me.
Okay.
I think
Why have you got Bale ahead of Salah?
I think Bale is. I just think Bale. Okay, we're not going to get into. I think Bale, the level that Bale got to. I don't think any of these players got to Bale at his peak. Especially Salah, amazing in terms of his goal scoring, but the other elements of Bale's game, I think, were better. I think he was always a more explosive winger. I think. I think he was more mesmerising. I think his ability to strike the ball whilst running at pace was always set him apart. He was kind of the closest thing to Cristiano at his peak that there was, really, in terms of that style of player. Was the best player in the Premier League whilst playing for Spurs, and not even that good a Spurs side. Let's face it. and then went to Real Madrid and at points was the best player at in a really good Real Madrid side. Was the best player there. Did it on big occasions. Obviously the Champions League final in 2018. A season in which he fell out of favour. And also came up clutch for his country on a number of occasions as well. I just think Bale is, I mean, he's generally regarded as the best player to ever come out of the UK. And Salah, I do love Salah, but I also think Salah actually for his country hasn't stepped up as much as Bale has necessarily, at least at major tournaments. So yeah, I think, but on pure ability as well, I just think Bale.
Really,
for me,
I think I was quite convinced by Hazard actually.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms, I know it's subjective.
Why haven't you go first then?
Well,
That was the topic.
well,
Ability.
Over Bale as well.
Yeah. I think he was definitely I know it's a bit subjective, but aesthetically, the best player to watch, and I think he was comfortably the best dribbler out of these four.
Yeah.
And actually scored better individual goals, arguably, than these four as well. I think Salah obviously is probably the best in terms of his achievements, in terms of his ability, in terms of his goal scoring. But actually, Salah doesn't have a lot of elements in his game like elite dribbling.
What
that
are we
Hazard
talking
does.
about? What are we talking about?
He's a great dribbler, but
he's not as good as Hazard.
He's not as good as Hazard, and he's definitely not as all-round. He can't take free kicks in the way Bale could. He can't shoot from range in the way Bale could.
I've seen him smash it top corner against Chelsea.
I remember there was a video that Liverpool's social media team
by
put
dribbling
out.
past 5 players.
Yeah,
That was a really overrated goal, though. His one versus Watford was way better. But I remember watching a video from a Liverpool social media team, and they were asked who has the best left foot in the club, and it was Andy Robertson who was asked it, and he was like, and they were like, oh, is it Mo Salah? And they were like, no, it's Xherdan Shaqiri. And
but that's just because he can whack the ball up.
Salah wasn't even in their top.
Means nothing. That means absolutely nothing.
Salah is a goal-scoring freak, but in terms of natural ability, he's quite an untidy player to watch.
No, what are we talking about here? The disrespect.
But you're going to focus on numbers. You're going to focus on numbers, which is great. But
I think we're talking about one of the 3 best players ever to come out of a continent.
Goal scoring ability is a big part of a player's ability.
I think we're talking about one of the 3 greatest players ever to come out of Africa.
Yeah, but the other 3, well, Mane's African, but the other 2,
Yeah, I think
Hazard might be one of the best. Hazard might be one of the best players this century.
And he's definitely not one of the 5 best players this century.
You can make that argument that Hazard was one of the best in Europe for 3-4 years. A more competitive landscape
I'm
than
talking
Africa.
about one of the greatest players of all time to come out of Africa who has won everything. And we can talk about the fact that trophies and that don't matter. Salah has effectively at times dragged that Liverpool side through moments in games with his single-mindedness.
And you don't think Bale and Hazard did that?
I think at times
Hazard
was Bale was
pretty much a one-man team.
Better team at Real Madrid than Salah ever played for.
Salah was in a much worse team at Liverpool than Hazard ever was at Chelsea for the majority of the time.
I think you're focusing too much on the teams, and I want to hear more on the players
and their ability.
On their day, on the ability.
Okay, Mo Salah, I think, in terms of goal-scoring ability, blows all of these out of the water completely. And I think goal-scoring ability is a massive factor in this. I can understand technically, Hazard might be a bit aesthetically better. I think Salah, for his effectiveness, his goal scoring, dribbling, everything about his off-the-ball game is better than any of the other players on this list. I think, other than maybe the occasional technical bit of brilliance where Hazard, we saw it and we know how good he is technically, I think Salah, in nearly every other facet of his game, is better than anyone on this list.
I don't think he was more creative than Bale or Hazard.
I think it's harsh. I think Salah's super creative. Maybe not.
I agree. I think
I put Bale top because I think he has. I think he actually does have the goal scoring ability of Salah, even if he never put up exactly the same numbers. I think he has. I think basically Bale has a lot of what's good about Hazard and a lot of what's good about Salah.
But we never saw Bale be able to do what Salah did. In terms of those numbers, coming to the Premier League, first debut season in the Premier League, breaking the goal scoring record, we never saw close to that from Gareth Bale.
Again, that does kind of go into the team he's playing in.
Well, not necessarily, because all of these guys played for exceptional teams.
Yeah, but I think Salah was. I do get you, Zach. Like Salah, very quickly at Liverpool was like, okay, this whole team it's geared towards getting the ball to Salah in really good spots.
But Spurs was geared towards Bale. Chelsea's geared towards getting it towards Hazard.
Spurs was geared towards Bale, but also it relied on Bale dribbling through entire teams, game on game, in the way that Salah I don't think hasn't had to do in the same way.
I don't think that should account from his ability as a player, though.
I know it shouldn't, but Bale is Bale is just better than Bale is just better than Salah. I think as a footballer, I think he is. Like I think he has more to his game. Well, he did when he was like at his peak.
But his peak was so short. Like
Bale's peak. Are you having a laugh? It was like 7 years.
It wasn't. His
between
peak
2010.
His peak was not 7 years long.
2010 and 2018.
His peak was not 7 years long.
So 2010. So his peak started in 2010.
It is a sad truth that his time at Real Madrid was so big. I'm not denying that he was great.
He's still one of the greatest Real Madrid players of all time. Like, I don't think that can be disputed. Like, just because Real Madrid fans are idiots and just got on his back, and yeah, he lost interest or whatever. He is still like one of the best players to have ever played for that club. Like,
I think in terms of moments,
yeah,
certainly in terms of big goal scoring moments in Champions League finals, big goals in you think back to the Copa del Rey goal against, was it Bilbao? Was it Bilbao? Or was it against Barcelona, wasn't it? I think like big moments, I agree with you. But I think in terms of actual impact, like season long at Real Madrid, I wouldn't describe him as one of the greatest Real Madrid players of all time.
I don't know, man. I think he's arguably better than any Real Madrid player of the previous 20 years before he was there. And he was in, and that's because let's say the 2010s are aside from the 1950s, which no one can remember. It's the best decade in Real Madrid's history. Like, it's the best decade in Real Madrid's history. That is the best Real Madrid team, arguably the best Real Madrid team that's ever been, under Zidane, under Ancelotti. And Bale was huge. You
can say the same of Liverpool, can't you? That Liverpool side of Mo Salah was probably the best side Liverpool ever produced, other than the 80s team. Like, and Mo Salah was a massive part of that, the best player in that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that you can make arguments for those top two anyway, Salah and Bale, in terms of their impact on the greatest teams of their club's history. Whereas, like, just to touch on Mane, by the way, like, amazing, fabulous player.
Yeah, great player, but it's not in the same league.
I want to hear a little bit from you quickly in terms of your list, because you've also got Hazard above Bale as well. But Salah is top for you. Why so?
There's a bit of fuzzy logic for all of these, but I think Hazard, even his like best moments were just exceptional, and he could do things which Bale couldn't, in my opinion. He could, like, Bale, the power is obviously aesthetically really pleasing, and like that goal where he did burst around
Bartra,
yeah, like incredible stuff. But I still think some of the intricate work that Hazard did on the inside of the pitch and weaving his way through players, like some of the highlights I've been seeing since he's retired are stunning. I'm one of the biggest Bale fans around. I love Gareth Bale, but I still think as a player, as a pure ability, I think Hazard is above Bale. But then again, I just think Salah, like, you cannot write away everything that he's done so far. Like, he's the most consistent high performer about all the players on this list. Like, his goal scoring return year after year is just truly exceptional, and he's been playing that amazing front three and still standing out for all of those years too. And I actually think what he's done for Egypt. He was injured at the World Cup that he went to. He missed like the first 2 games of an injury, and I think at the African Cup of Nations he got a really boring Egypt side to the final. They played such negative football, it was unbelievable. So I think he's been slightly hamstrung by that in terms of in an international sense. Where whereas Hazard, has he really lit it up for Belgium at European?
Pretty well at.
You could argue that golden generation of Belgium was the biggest letdown of an international side.
I just don't. I don't think you can overlook like Salah's relentless like time at the top level comes down to his ability, I think, ultimately, and like you have to give that credit. And for me, Hazard just is a more exciting player than Bale.
I think if the question was like, who would you back to have a 20, 25, 30 goal season, obviously the answer is Salah. But who is I mean, it's very subjective, but who is the better technical player?
Yeah.
I think Salah is behind Hazard, and I think behind Bale as well.
Goal scoring is an ability. The ability to put the ball in the net is massive.
I agree, but like, I suppose it also just comes down to how smooth you are with the ball, how tidy it looks, how natural it looks. And I don't think sometimes watching Salah, it looks particularly natural.
What I will say finally on Bale is that going back to the Real Madrid stuff, like, Bale was playing in the same team as arguably the greatest, one of the 2-3 greatest goal scorers of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo. If Ronaldo wasn't there and Bale had consistently been the main man, then we may have seen Bale break all sorts of goal scoring records. I think
fitness wasn't there to do that.
Okay, quick question.
I mean, yeah, it's a hypothetical, but like his ability, he was good enough to have done something like that.
Because Salah is he's on the top 2. Well, he's not on the top 2 for you, Dougie.
Yeah.
But say he was in the Liverpool side on the right wing, and say Hazard or Bale were on the left wing, who gets more goal contributions out of them?
No doubt.
Salah?
What, in the same team?
In the same
team.
team.
Salah, definitely.
Salah. Okay.
He's the best goal scorer.
All right. Interesting conversation there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm going to give points to
Good debate.
Mikey and Joe. Ooh. I think, Mikey, you did battle really well.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Dougie, even though I do love Hazard. And I do think, personally, I think he's the more fun player to watch.
Yeah.
I think Bale's also up there as well.
Yeah.
But those are the points. Joe and Mikey.
I need some compensation for the abuse I'm going to get from Real Madrid fans. Just calling them all idiots. Just to say, I did call Barcelona fans idiots just a few weeks ago. So
okay, on to our next one. This is true or false. Only one statement we're going to do for this, so just put T or F, or write the full word.
Need to be controversial to get the points.
Gareth Southgate should continue as England manager after this summer's Euros.
Ooh.
3, 2, 1, show. Okay,
false,
all are saying false, but what if he wins the Euros?
Then still.
That should go out on a high.
Go on a high.
Yeah, absolutely go on a high.
Perfect way to say goodbye. The only thing that made me think true is like looking at appointments in international management recently, like very few top-level managers want to get into international management. Like Nagelsmann's a bit of a unique case because they got a home Euros coming up, but like Domenico Tedesco at Belgium, Roberto Martinez now at Portugal, De La Fuente at Spain. Like, I would worry about who England would get in next.
England's next appointment will come from within.
Yeah,
that's right.
England's next appointment will be
or Graham Potter.
But like, would
the
top candidate Eddie Howe probably want to go to England
It'll
right
be Lee
now?
Carsley.
I'm not sure.
I would say like there's a long time between now and the summer.
Yeah,
you don't know how the
it's gonna be
managerial scene will change between now and then.
I don't think it would affect who's appointed next. I think they've proven out a method and a pathway of appointing first team managers now in England, and I think I fully expect them to stick with that.
But the method is only the method is only Gareth Southgate's route.
Yeah, and I think it will be the exact same.
But that method wasn't even an intentional method though, because they wanted Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, but they got rid of Sam Allardyce, didn't they?
Well, they had to because of the bung, but
now I
think it's a bit closed-minded to be like that's England's method now.
That's going to be the method. I just don't. Why? I don't know why. Because it's been the most successful. It's been the most successful method of appointing a manager for England in 55 years.
But at least Gareth Southgate had Premier League experience of managing Middlesbrough. Like Lee Carsley's done nothing.
Joe, I'd also say like England were at a pretty low point when Gareth Southgate came in. It had been an absolute disaster. If you're looking at this England squad now, it's probably the most exciting young crop of players. Certainly in our almost in our lifetime, but maybe whatever. Say what you want about 2006 as a team. Yeah, I agree. I think
Southgate was also like heavily involved with the FA away from the under-21s as well. Like he was quite an influential figure.
But why would that change for Carsley? I think Carsley's proven out as winning the under-21 Euros that he can win with a young group of players that are then only going to develop into the first team, which is exactly what happened with Southgate.
I think there is logic in Joe's argument here because for the first time in our lifetimes, England has fully embraced, the England setup has fully embraced this idea of the same style of football being played, through generations, through the youth ranks into the first team, and there's that continuity there. So I do get it in that sense, but that's not to say that a manager from outside can't get into that. I've always really liked Graham Potter as the replacement for Southgate, just because I think he's more tactically flexible. Has obviously a lot more experience managing at different clubs, and he has a similar temperament to him, I think, in terms of the way that he treats players and the way that he conducts himself publicly. But as for this, I think mainly it's also like Southgate must be exhausted, man. He'll have been in the job 8 years.
He's getting a bit snappy as well.
I think for his sake, he should resign.
If you look at the whole Harry Maguire situation, even the Jordan Henderson situation, apparently he thought really long and hard about whether he should stay on after the World Cup itself. He does. The problem with England is when things do slightly go wrong a bit, he is the one that gets all the pelters, and you've seen that again, like coming out saying he has no idea why fans are upset at like Jordan Henderson. It is the voice of like a man who is a bit worn down by it all. Like there's an argument he should have left after the World Cup and given someone else a chance, but I appreciate the fact he wanted to see it through with this kind of group now, because I think after this World Cup we'll see a few of the senior figures really step away, Henderson, etc. There is a chance for other players to really come into this side. So yeah, he could have maybe even gone 18 months ago. He's still here. It's
time, man. His contract's up.
His contract's up. I think he'll accept he needs a fresh start. I mean, yeah.
I think he knows it.
Okay. All I'm saying, Pep Guardiola 2025.
No.
Points all round. Lads.
Imagine Pep. Why would he ever want to come to England? Pep.
Okay, guys, you have done this before. We're bringing it back. It's the segment called Overrated or Underrated. You can't sit on the fence. It's
Rated.
not easy. It is definitely fiery. I think last time we had Pat on, and it got a little bit heated. Okay, so I'm going to name you a player, and you've got to say whether they are overrated or underrated this season.
This season. Just based on their performances this season?
Just based on their performances this season.
Here we go.
Mason Mount.
Oh. Quite easy, I think.
Is Mason Mount overrated or underrated, lads? Underrated.
Yeah, easy.
Okay.
The amount of stick he gets online compared to his performance level for Man United this season, I don't really get it.
He's been fine.
I think since he's come back from his injury, he's probably been United's best player outside of Rasmus Højlund in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I don't think he's done an awful lot wrong. He's been played in a number of different positions, works incredibly hard.
In a new team.
In a brand new team, not fully fit clearly, and doing an absolutely decent role. And he gets online as if he's the worst footballer in the world. And it's just comical bunch of football Twitter idiots as well.
I thought we were going to go a bit stronger than absolutely decent, but I like the explanation, Yeah, he's been good.
Okay, all right then. That was simple. All right, let's... we've spoken to him about him a bunch, but if I'll be interested in what people say here. We'll keep it if it's actually creates debate. Onana. Is Onana underrated or overrated this season? Was bought £50 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's physically impossible here to put over because
no one's rating him.
Nobody rates him. I've never seen a keeper take more stick, and hasn't been great. So
I think
it's impossible.
took more stick, but it's up there.
Kepa didn't take that much stick initially, though. Like if Kepa didn't, I guess Kepa didn't have
Pete
as
Kepa
bad as
though was like
Pete Kepa did take a lot of stick, but I think Pete Kepa was also like making more mistakes.
I don't know, not at this rate. I don't know.
At this rate, he was.
Pete Kepa's also playing quite well for Real Madrid now, whereas Onana is.
I mean, but
you could say but Onana was like one of the best goalkeepers in the world last year. Was pretty amazing at Ajax as well. Like up until this point in his career, he's probably not had. This has probably been easily the worst 2 months of his career in terms of frequency.
Onana must have played 11 games for Man United so far. I think there's been a clanger in 6.
Yeah,
it has been really, really bad.
Yeah, but it has to be underrated because nobody's saying he's good.
Yeah,
I'm not going to give any points because nothing really happened. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. In fact, the chair's nearly breaking now as well. But we'll move on to our next player then. He plays for Chelsea.
Here we go.
Nicholas Jackson.
Ooh.
Is he underrated or is he overrated? Let's reveal now.
Ooh.
Joey T is not convinced
the vendetta.
by Nicky Jackson.
I think he's actually been fine. I think he's been fine, is what I would describe him as, given that he is the biggest underperformer in terms of expected goals of any side and of any player in the league. Chelsea have created an awful lot of chances, and I think he's been fine. You know, for 22 years old, coming with the price tag he did, I don't think there were massive expectations on his shoulders. But I just think that the way some Chelsea fans talk about him is that he is the long-term answer to their goal-scoring problem up front, which has plagued them since Diego Costa, really. And I don't necessarily think he is that. I think if Chelsea had the option right now to dip into the market and sign a striker, I think they would.
I still think that in a year's time we could be talking about him in that way. I think you've got to give this Chelsea side an opportunity to gel together. And like you said, his XG numbers shows that he is pretty much getting in all the right positions, doing the right things. I know that miss against Luton is a clanger, but beyond that, I don't think he's put in some horrific misses elsewhere of his performances. I think the goals that he has scored, he's looked really confident. I think his pre-season form showed what he's all about. And he's a young guy who hasn't played loads of football up to this point, certainly at the very, very top level. A lot of it was in sort of the second division of Spain. And like you said, £37 million. Considering the money Chelsea spent on other players and other positions, to have got a striker for £37 million, who is performing pretty well.
But is anybody saying he's bad?
You're saying he's overrated.
People are saying that he needs to score more.
But that's a fact, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I don't think
Chelsea need to score more goals.
Chelsea need to score more goals, but there is enough ability in that forward line that Jackson doesn't have to be the number 9 in a team doesn't necessarily have to be the main goal scorer anymore. And I know Jackson is a goal scoring striker, but there should be enough coming from the wings for Jackson not to have to produce 15 plus goals this season. I think, like you said, he was one of Chelsea's actually more economical signings in the summer. I don't think, I think there were many people who didn't even expect initially expects Jackson to be Chelsea's number one striker going into the new season, and yet now there is already pressure on him to like propel Chelsea into like the European places with his goal scoring ability alone. And I don't know, I just think there's just a lot of conversations about it already, and people are forgetting, like Henry was saying, like this guy has not had an awful lot of top level experience, and yet actually already looks pretty comfortable in the Premier League. I think it was against Bournemouth, which I think I was a bit disappointed with his performance, but aside from that, every Chelsea game I've seen, I've been pretty impressed with his all-round centre-forward play, and I think that has made... I think he has been a big part of why Chelsea look better, look more coherent going forward under Pochettino.
Yeah, I was quite negative about it in the summer just because he was so inexperienced, and I didn't think it was, to spend that amount of money in 3 windows and be left with Broja and Jackson because they knew Nkunku was injured. I thought was a massive oversight. Actually, in terms of his performance level, I think he's looked pretty sharp. I kind of agree with McCubbin. I think he's looked really dangerous. He's been he's been getting in the right positions in every single game. He's been causing a lot of danger in every game. His finishing's just been a little bit off. But even in the last few weeks prior to the international break, which probably came at the wrong time for him, he was starting to find the net a bit more consistently. So I think he's been fine.
Okay, nothing to add. Point to everyone but Jay.
Punished.
Harsh.
Try to be different. Get punished.
Okay, moving on to our next overrated or underrated. Tough one for this team. Christian Romero. Is he underrated?
On his performances this season.
Or is he overrated? With him, I'll let you go his career. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Oh, you're not quite sure there, Henry.
Showdown. No, it's an exclamation mark with a squiggly font style.
Question mark.
Under not quite sure.
Especially like a question mark.
Joe.
Okay, so I'll take this on. I think underrated. I think he's been paired and part.
You did set him up for that.
I think he's been paired and part of some pretty shoddy defences at Tottenham Hotspur. Notably under Antonio Conte, where he was paired quite regularly with Eric Dyer and Ben Davis. No offence to those guys, but probably not the standard required for a top 4 defence. I think he gets unfairly labelled as this sort of hothead character, and whilst he does fly out the line and put in some heavy tackles, I think I don't think he's ever been sent off in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt, or if he has, maybe once. So I think it's very, very rare that you actually see him totally lose his head. He is capable of, the dark arts, should we put it that way? But I think as soon as you've seen him paired with a decent centre-back, i.e. Mickey van der Ven, as you see at international level when it's either Lissandro or Otamendi, massively successful. I think he's really underrated on the ball. I think he's an excellent passer. I think when he steps out of the line, and now that he's got Van der Ven, who's very athletic in behind him, he is one of the best at stepping out of the line in the league to win front football. I think in terms of an all-round centre-back, I don't think there are that many better in the Premier League, and I don't think many people would have him in their top 5, and I'd probably have him in my top 5 centre-backs in the league.
I would have him in my top 5, but I think he's been really, really rated this season. I love Christian Romero. I thought he's amazing at Atalanta, and I think even when he was paired with some poor in some poor back lines in at Spurs, he was
getting dragged though, wasn't he? People online were
for sure. I think if this was last season, I'd say definitely underrated. Like he was still putting in some amazing performances, and especially I think particularly his ball playing ability and his ability to get the ball out of like tight areas in the defensive third. I just think this season maybe people have gone a little bit overboard. I think I saw something from Messi saying he's like the best defender in the world. Like, steady on. Like, I just think steady on. I don't think there's much between it though. Like, I love Christian Romero. I think he's a great player. But I think people's reaction to his performance this season has been a bit like, were you watching the same player before? Like, I don't think he's like improved like that much from what he was before. Like, I think he's just playing in a better setup.
Is there any clarity on the red card situation? Was I drastically wrong?
He had 1 red card.
One.
Yeah. I think I said in the summer that he needed to step up this year in terms of his disciplinary record, because he was suspended for 3 games last year in the league.
18 yellow cards.
And they lost 2 of them. One of them was against Leicester, and they got absolutely battered 4-1. And he has stepped up this season. I think he's been really, really good. There's no getting away from it. But I do think I kind of agree with McCubbin. Like, Argentinians and Spurs have kind of created a little bit of a cult around him online, and they are holding him up as some sort of messiah. I think he's been very good, but I think he's been slightly overrated.
He's also a little bit of a naughty boy.
It's not massively overrated. I just think he's been slightly overrated this season.
Do you not think he would start? I'm trying to think now of the top 4 sides, but for pretty much every side in the Prem.
I'd still pick Saliba over him.
Yeah.
I'd still pick, if we're going on the City, I don't think he starts for City. I think he starts for United.
Starts for Liverpool.
I think he starts for... Yeah,
I don't know. Does he start for Liverpool over Van Dijk and Konate? I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's
for me,
tight.
I would start moving Konate.
I would start moving.
He definitely started Chelsea.
What in that?
Start United for sure.
Start United.
Down, definitely everyone.
I don't think you can take away how miserable those last few years have been at Spurs under Mourinho ball, under Conte ball, and whatever happened after that. Like you could, he showed all the signs of just a hugely frustrated player. Like imagine getting that big major move to the Premier League and it's just not working out. He probably had loads of options on the table from Atalanta at the time, and now finally you're seeing in what is still a fairly fresh partnership next to Mickey van der Ven. They haven't played loads of football together. He is beginning to excel, and I don't think like he won the World Cup playing as centre half. I mean, it was a remarkable achievement. That really does show. I think almost the fact that we have 2 overrated boards, completely fair enough. That almost shows why he's still underrated as a player. Like he's still the fact that people aren't. He's such a solid, reliable defender. He's got a bit of old school tenacity about him, which I think is lost a little bit in some defenders in the modern game. So I think, you'd want him. He's such a leader at the back for Spurs, and next to Van der Ven, the younger figure, he's almost like a perfect complement to what they're trying to do with that back line. See, I think he's a remarkable footballer. I think Spurs are really lucky to have him. I thought it was amazing when they got him in the first place because, as Mikey said, at Atalanta, he was excellent. And we're starting to see just why they went in for him.
And I think part of this new leadership group at Tottenham, I think it's him, Son, Madders, isn't it? And I think that increased responsibility on his shoulders has brought out even better in him. Like I think that, when he's wearing the armband, he's even more disciplined. And when he's more disciplined, he's one of the best defenders in the league. So I think well worthy of being underrated at this stage.
I think we'll see. People have rightly pointed out the Spurs have had quite easy fixtures at the start of this season. There'll be tougher tests.
He was good against Arsenal.
We'll see whether he keeps.
He was good against Arsenal.
He was very good against Arsenal. Let's see how it lasts.
I know that the own goal happened, but.
Okay, I'm going to give a point to Joe and Henry for that one, guys.
Well said, Zach. Well done, mate.
True say.
Our next player, is he overrated or underrated? Mateo Kovacic.
Ooh.
Okay, lads, 3, 2, 1. Kovacic, overrated, underrated.
Ooh.
3 unders, 1 over.
Come on, Joe.
Joe, why is he overrated?
I don't think you can say he's underrated when he's achieved what he's achieved with Croatia and with that Chelsea side.
But has he been given enough credit for it?
I think he's been given plenty of credit, man.
I don't know.
I think people talk about him being one of the best Croatian players of all time.
He probably is, though.
Probably is.
Yeah, so therefore cannot be underrated in that.
But Croatia don't have a particularly rich history.
I think
up until
for
the final
Chelsea,
15 years.
I think he was definitely not underrated at Chelsea.
Really?
No.
I don't know.
He was underrated.
I think he's been
Chelsea.
underrated his whole career. Like anyone that plays for Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Chelsea, then gets a move to Man City.
I think everybody talks about him as being a really good player, very solid on the ball, won pretty much everything there is to win.
I think you're mistaken
us
and us who look at stats and who not just goals and assists, and the general public. I think the fact he doesn't score that many goals, the fact that he doesn't create a lot of chances, I think he's been underrated by the general public throughout his entire career. I think he can do pretty much every role in midfield.
The fair answer here would be rated, really. The fair answer would be rated.
I've kind of been indifferent. Well, not indifferent. I really like him as a player, but I think his injury record has meant that people have not recognised his overall influence on sides, and I think in that Chelsea Champions League winning side, I actually can't even remember what Kovacic's role was. Was he not even really playing?
He didn't really start.
What, in that final? But I mean, on that run though, right? Like was he involved in that run? I mean, I can't. It was so long ago, I can't remember.
He injured for a little bit.
Yeah,
but is this not more examples of his overratedness? Like his injury record has to be taken into account, doesn't it? Like
it does.
We all know he's an amazing player, but did he actually contribute massively?
I think we all know he's an amazing player, but it's about where he's rated in the general football sphere, and I think he's been underrated.
I think in that Chelsea side, even when Kante was performing really well, I think when he was fit, Kovacic, I think arguably he was the most exciting player in that team. The best player to watch, certainly. I think he's always been, throughout his career, one of the most aesthetically pleasing central midfielders in world football. Probably top 3 or 4. His ball carrying ability has always been amazing, and like Duke said, I think his in the final third he's always lacked a little bit, to be fair. He's always been very good at one particular thing, but he's so good at that.
I think there's a reason why he's on a bit of a pedestal, Kovacic, as you know. I do think he's a good player, and like I said, like his achievements definitely stack up, especially on the international stage. But like top 3 or top 4 aesthetic midfielders in the world for you?
Yeah, I think so. Like that is an overrated statement. I love footballers, central midfielders who like carry the ball in a really beautiful way, and I think I can't think of many better than him.
Kovacic, it feels like he falls into the category of like a player's player in many ways. It feels like he's one of those kind of, when he retires, we'll suddenly hear stories about like midfielders saying like what an influence Mateo Kovacic was on him. Like he's such an he's a very
like
elegant
Dembele.
He's a very like elegant player. He's like, I think sometimes I always remember like he would pop up in the stats and they go, oh actually look, this is what he was doing. He's always operating almost like behind the scenes in a lot of these midfields. Like I think there's a reason that Pep Guardiola looked at him and said, yeah, we'll definitely have you from Chelsea for that price tag. I think he does offer loads. As Dougie says, he's played for like a load of the top teams. I agree. Like rated would be more of a fair reflection on him.
It would. I agree.
But I do think that like the qualities that he brings to sides, the composure that he brings to the middle of the park, like his ability to like progress the ball, I think a lot of these things are really, really underrated. And there's a reason that he's been wanted wherever he's gone, and there's a reason that he's had the career that he's had. Like he's a stunning footballer.
How's he been since he's been at Man City?
I think very solid.
Pretty solid, yeah.
Just gave away the ball to Wolves, didn't they? When filling in for robbery. Okay then, lads. Well, I'm going to give a point here to everyone but Mikey.
Oh, wow.
Wow. It sounds harsh. It sounds harsh, but like,
my argument
your love for him doesn't matter to me. I'm going to be honest. Yeah.
Sounds like a bitter Chelsea fan.
Does sound like a bitter Chelsea
Mikey. Yeah. Okay, guys. Underrated or overrated? We're going to Liverpool. Mac Allister.
Ooh.
Just moved there. Nice little
Easy
fee.
Kevin or Alexis, to be clear. So.
Easy for me.
Good, nicely done. What do you like? Show the boards.
Oh,
2 overs.
Well, there we go.
Unders.
Wow.
Henry, kick it off, mate.
How can you say that Mac Allister is overrated, man? Honestly, this is going to annoy me, I think.
That's fine.
Really?
That's, more the reason for me to do it. For starters, look, I'm not going to include the price. Well, I think you have to include the price tag, actually. I think it was a serious amount of money. I do think
it's a serious amount of money. It's 35 million.
Okay, let's scratch that.
Rising to 50.
I thought, in my head, I thought it was 60 for some reason.
No, 35 million
I thought it was 60. Okay. Right. I don't think that he's made like the incredible impact on that midfield that we're expecting. He was expected to, in all honesty. Like, I think he's a very good midfielder. I think once again this almost falls into maybe more of like the rated category, but
Hennis, it's waffle.
It's not waffle.
It's
I just
how can you say
he's definitely not underrated?
He's not.
He's definitely not underrated.
He is underrated.
He's not underrated.
Like I think his work for Argentina was extremely underrated at the World Cup.
He's been caught out a lot in this.
He was incredible. He was incredible at the World Cup, and everybody talked about how amazing Enzo was and how much he transformed that team. How amazing Julian Alvarez was when he came in and influenced that team. Nobody talked enough about Mac Allister's impact on that Argentina World Cup win, which was exceptional. Since he's come to Liverpool, he has been nothing but good. Like every game he's played well. He's playing in a position that's not natural to him in this 6. He wants to be further up the field.
I don't think he's an underrated player.
I think purely
I don't
by
think
the
people
fact
ever say like, oh, he's like a secret weapon for this Liverpool side, like or anything. I don't think he's an underrated player. If anything, he's rated. If anything, he's slightly overrated. I still think what.
But can you not appreciate the fact that he's gone into a club the size of Liverpool that had a terrible year last year and has played out of position and has already hit a pretty good level?
He's been guaranteed minutes based on the fact that Liverpool just don't have any real competition.
If they had a 6, he would still start. He would still start if they had a 6. It would be him, Szoboszlai, and a 6.
There's no guarantee.
He's playing in a different role because he has to.
I don't think he would be anywhere near that peak Liverpool midfield.
Like, I'm also not convinced that like if Klopp just played Endo there and had Mac Allister.
Come on, Mikey. That's why he's underrated. That statement there is why he's underrated. Because he's on a different
Endo is a more proven defensive midfielder.
He's on a different planet to where Endo is.
He would not get anywhere near like peak Liverpool midfield of the last 5 years. I really don't think so. Like Henderson or Milner have both played at like levels above him in this Liverpool midfield.
I think he would potentially. He would challenge Wijnaldum in that Liverpool midfield. I think Mac Allister is a really good player, but I think it's still over the summer, like the fact that Liverpool were potentially going to be willing to pay like 60, 70 million for him. Like he's not that level of midfielder, I don't think. And I think with Mac Allister, it's like I think I actually think he was, like, his contribution to Argentina's World Cup was rightly, like, talked about a lot, actually. I think that final, lots of people said he was the best player on the pitch, and he was certainly up there. And his versatility is really good, but I'm still yet to see an element of his game in which I think, he is one of the, like, top midfielders. Like he's got a really good all-round game, but I've never watched him and been like, oh my god, what a player.
But because
he
was signed for such a low fee
last year. He tore United apart last year when we went down there.
Do you not think
that's just Brighton in general, though?
Do you not think
like,
because he was signed for such a low fee, you almost don't need him to be like he's not being signed for Rice or Caicedo money. Like he doesn't need to be the best in the world in his position because the expectations on him are so much lower. And I think he's already meeting them.
But Rice and Caicedo money is ridiculous money, and but it's the fact that he was being talked about like a £70 million
he's got
player.
so much to learn.
That's how much they spent on
Szoboszlai. He's got caught out loads. Like his tackle success rate against like dribblers, the amount of times that players go past him is really high.
Because
like
he's playing out of position,
Brighton
man.
Exposed, but that was even last year too. That was even last year at Brighton. A lot of the time, like he was not like the most reliable hand always in that midfield. Like when he's on the ball, very nice guy. But when he's off the ball, I think there are like major issues with his game that need to improve. And I think he could get to a point where he's the player that you're talking about, but I don't see that right now. I think he's been helped a lot, like in that Argentina side with the players around him. Like the amount of quality around him has helped shield some of like the deficiencies in his game. And like he's got a tall order at Liverpool, and he's not been the most solid player in that midfield so far.
I think it is interesting that he worked for Roberto De Zerbi last year, who loves rotating, and he played pretty much every minute. He then was introduced into an Argentina side that really needed some extra legs in midfield, made a massive difference. He's joined a Liverpool side that were crying out for a defensive midfielder and signed one. And rather than use the one they signed, they were like, McAllister better than him. And despite the competition in that midfield zone, he's played probably more minutes than any other midfielder. I think it's pretty impressive. I think it's really pretty impressive. And to be that level, playing out of position for a Liverpool side that, as I said before, really needed it to work, and he's done a pretty good job.
I don't know what more he can do. I don't know, at this stage of his career at Liverpool and what he's done for Argentina, I don't know what more he can do.
Yeah, I think, but that's just element of his limitations. Like, I agree with you. Like, what more can he do? Like, I'm not asking
limitations. He scored 10 goals last season in the Premier League.
I'm not asking him to be like
pens.
A lot of them are penalties. A lot of them are penalties. Come on.
Yeah.
A pen's a pen. Come on.
Okay.
A pen is a pen.
Joke.
I
think you both batted your side pretty well, but I'm gonna have to give it to the underrated boys. Unfortunately,
is that because that's what you think?
No, I actually kind of maybe go a bit more on your side.
I think Joe's was a good argument.
All right, guys, on to our final one. We're going for a little while now. As you can see, we've done a lot of the top 6 teams. So we're going to head over to North London for Arsenal. Gabriel. Is he under or is he overrated?
I just started writing his name.
Just Gabriel.
Reveal.
Gabe.
So 3, 2, 1, reveal.
See ya.
Wow.
Here we go.
What are
you talking about? How can you have Gabriel as overrated?
Have you heard Arsenal fans talk about him?
Yeah, Arsenal fans said he was their best centre back in the second half of last season, even though he cost them about 5 games.
That's not really funny. He was dropped at the start of the season.
I know.
Start of this season.
By Mikel Arteta, and you're still saying overrated.
Correctly.
Surely that suits our argument.
No, because it was the incorrect decision, wasn't it? As soon as he came back into the side, they've looked way better.
He has been good this year.
It was just down to that.
I will say, like, before Saliba came into that side, like Gabriel was quite clearly a step up on the centre half options. The dark years of Mustafi.
Mustafi.
Better than Mustafi and Holding. Oh, stop. Oh, wow.
Let me finish my point. When he came into that side, like he made such like an immediate. He was such like a good addition to that side, and because they then got upgraded next to him in Saliba, who is, as we discussed last week, a Rolls Royce of a centre half. Like, I suddenly think that people are forgetting just how good Gabriel is himself. Like, there's a reason there's such a good partnership next to each other. There's a reason he was so like solid originally. Like, I don't think there's any talk of ever like them replacing either of these two as the centre half options. Like, Ben White was signed as a £50 million centre half and has been pushed out to right back, and that's testament also to Gabriel's ability as a defender. Like, he's so solid. His clearances, as like a pure defender in terms of like clearances, tackles, whatever, aerial win rate. Like, Gabriel is absolutely massive, and I just think that because Saliba's come in and made he's the recent shiny new card Saliba in that defensive line, and that's kind of like stolen away the ability of Gabriel. And yes, I think if Saliba, was injured, we'd then begin to see Gabriel step up once again as the leader in that back line. Like I think he's.
I don't know. Their terrible defence when he was injured last year. Gabriel was all over the place when Saliba.
I don't think so. I think that's unfair.
I don't think we can just lay that at the feet of Gabriel when there were a lot of other issues going on in the back line.
It's not all over the fence. They were like top of the league most of that season.
Ronaldo was there, but equally like Saliba getting injured was maybe the defining reason why Arsenal didn't
but do you not
push
think
on them in the league.
Potentially, I think the fact they just got caught in the headlights, the fact they were top of the league, they had a title in sight, and then Rob Holding, who wasn't given a minute's worth of football, came in. Like, so tall order, like teams.
Of course, it's tall
Can we put some respect on Rob Holding's name as well?
But he's a good, fine. But at the same, we're talking about. I still think that Gabriel,
they sold him.
I don't think you can criticise all these Arsenal players for being slightly like I said, caught in the headlights with this title challenge coming. I think Gabriel, 99% of his time at Arsenal, has been an exceptional defender. And it's almost the fact we don't talk about him enough, which shows why he's so underrated.
I think Gabriel has talked about way too much, man. Like I think Arsenal fans, almost since he's come in, have rated him among like the top 2 or 3 centre-backs in the league. I just think...
He's in the conversation for the top 5, though.
I don't know, but was he 2 years ago when Arsenal fans were saying he was the best in the league? Like, I think like he is a really, really good defender. I do like him. I think he's very good in the opposition box as well. Clearly, like his aerial ability is among the best defenders probably in Europe. His ball playing ability is fine. I think the Ben White argument, I think that's just testament to Ben White being a really good versatile player. I think, you know, I don't think Gabriel would be able to perform that role as an inverted fullback and also be a really, really top level centre back as well.
He's not a world class right back, Ben White.
Oh, I disagree.
But is Gabriel? But neither is Gabriel. So, like, I think that
Gabriel's a world class centre half.
I don't know if he's a world class centre half.
I
think if Gabriel's a world class centre half, then Ben White is most certainly a world class right back. He was pretty much the best right back in the league last year. Ben White,
aside from Trippier,
aside from me,
probably Trippier.
Oh yeah, Trippier, I guess. But I think, I think Ben White was.
We're getting off topic anyway.
Anyway,
a little bit because Gabriel, for me, like if I know that we could take into that 8-game period that Saliba missed, I think there are arguments to be made across the first half of the season. He was actually better than Saliba last year.
I think there was definitely arguments. I think he's a very good player. I just think Arsenal fans overrate him slightly. I think if you had to replace anyone out of Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and White, you replace Gabriel.
I also think as well, like, as good as a centre-back can be, like, how much can you rate a centre-back who is so... has made so many high-profile errors? I think, like... I don't think he's made at the top clubs last season, I think... Out of the top 4 clubs in the Premier League last season, I think Gabriel made more high-profile errors than any other centre-back at those clubs. In big games, gave away really stupid penalties, like poor positioning in really key moments. Like Gabriel, almost every big,
Can you pick an example?
I mean, I'm not very good at remembering games, but it gave away a really poor penalty against Man City, I believe, or was influential in a really poor penalty being given away. I can't remember last season very well, but I like almost every big game I watched Arsenal in like the second half of last season, there were some really dodgy moments. He was
hindered by the offset and the unbalanced nature.
This was when Saliba was still in the team as well, though. This was when Saliba was still in the team. This was pre-Sporting.
I think we need the question is, like, I think we're saying as a player he is underrated. Like saying he's overrated because Arsenal fans rate him. Like they're a fanatical fan base who are going to get behind their own players. Like we're talking about
a judgment.
We're talking like as a pure player. Like, and I think as we're seeing, like he's underrated. I don't think the mistakes are that negative to his ability so far. I think the positives of his game massively outweigh some of the negatives, and I'm willing to let him have a few clangers in there. Like all of them.
I still think he's a great player, but he is
slightly overrated.
Yeah. No, all right, underrated.
All right, let's get the points then in. I'm going to be giving the points to the underrated boys on that one, lads. I'm sorry.
So much easier to argue underrated, man. It's an easy argument.
It's like Brexit.
You can just be like, oh yeah, he's a really good player. Like that's it.
Yeah, and you can just be like, he's a really mediocre player.
No, but I don't think he's a mediocre player because
underrated, bro.
No, because he plays in the Premier League. Like you're not like if you're a footballer and you play in the Premier League, then you're clearly a very good footballer. Like that's just that's just the be-all and end all of it.
It's also like he's also probably rated like he is. Like that's the thing with a lot of these players.
He's very good.
They are probably rated.
That's
okay
fine.
then, scores on the doors. Coming in bottom, last. is Michael with 3 points. A lot of point scoring though in this one. 3
high numbers.
3 is
High
one
scoring.
people games. One people team talk. So I think it's fair play to you. Coming in 3rd place, Dougie Critchley. And in between the Black Chair Boys, Henry and Joe. Joey T is the winner with 6. Henry with 5.
Huge numbers, by the way. 6.
5 points.
6. Fighting illness as
5
well.
points with an L.
Impressive scores from the lads.
You said some good things today.
Thanks, Henry. I appreciate that.
Okay, well, there we have it. That is another episode of Team Talk done. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let us know what you guys want us to debate about next week in the comments below. Who was your winner? Get in there as well. Who was your loser? Get in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, like the video. Click on screen right now for some more Football Daily content. We'll see you guys very soon. Bye.